So, a little while ago, I was thinking about all the top 10 lists I did in January, and I realized two things. One, I forgot to do my top 10 favorite movie of the year list. So here it is. My number one movie of the year was Hacksaw Ridge. If you haven't heard about it, shut up. And the other thing was I missed an anime. There was one series that I really wanted to put on one of the lists, and I really couldn't figure out which list to put it on. So that's why we're here to talk about it today, because as many of you know, my ultimate be-all end-all belief with any sort of fictional entertainment media is, how did it make you feel? What was your emotional reaction? How did you think? I may sit here and talk about animation or the music or the action or the drama, but let it be known that those are all just tools for me to see how does it make me feel. And that is why we're here to talk about this show, because I don't know how to really feel about this series. I know, this one, Magical Girl Raising Project, a Magical Girl series, is the one that I can't figure out how I really feel. So, we're here to talk about it today. What is this show? Well, in generic average everyday city, generic average everyday girl is into magical girl stuff. And her big thing right now is a magical girl mobile game that, as she finds out one day, is actually a recruitment for real magical girls. Whoever is good at the game or suits certain characteristics gets to be a real magical girl. Think the movie The Last Starfighter, but with more moe. And from there, I have to stop with the plot synopsis, because if you haven't seen this show already, you might want to decide now if you want to check it out, because this show has a very interesting immersion technique, and this is why we have to now go into some mild spoilers, because, leave now, this series draws a lot of inspiration from Madoka Magica. I won't call it a ripoff. It is trying to be its own thing, but it is very similar. It's a magical girl show that wants to look all cute and innocent, but as it turns out is actually dark and psychological. And except where Madoka Magica had a lot of smart writing in it and clever storytelling techniques, this series lacks any sense of subtlety or story structure or pacing, and just, oh my god, it's a complete hot steaming mess. You see, the thing about this show is that it has all these ideas, and whether they're good or not, it has no clue how to present them. So what we get is basically, well, like I just said, a mess. The first part of the problem is our lead character. Know how I don't mention her real name? It's because who cares? It's barely referenced in the show. We barely even see her outside of her magical girl outfit. Like, literally, there's a scene of her in the opening as just a normal human. I forgot what she looked like. It's that bad. On top of that, she does next to nothing in this. Literally, the entire plot goes by, and she just stands there and cries and gets all sad and needs other people to save her. It's a complete frickin' misfire of a protagonist. Madoka is annoying, but at least she sort of has something to do with the story. This girl, you literally could have taken her out to the last episode and nothing would be different. It is that poorly put together. And what is our actual plot besides the earlier thing? Well, what we find out is that there are 16 magical girls in this city. Too many for it to maintain. The magical power source they all get it from can't handle it, so it needs to trim the fat and take away some of their powers. Okay, seems simple enough. Here's the twist. They all gotta die. That's right. If you cannot keep your magical girl powers, apparently I guess it changes your body or something and you die. So because of this, that is our dark edge to this series. It is basically Lord of the Flies, or the one Japanese movie, Battle Royale, that one that everyone always says Hunger Games is a ripoff of. It's that sort of premise. It's just supposed to be a darker version of a popular concept. And from there, it really doesn't execute anything well. First up, the problem is the pacing. And the big issue with the pacing is that the show is just completely all over the place. Characters will die, get their backstories, get moments where you like them, with no real sense of structure at all. Pretty much, characters can die at any minute in this, which can be exciting when done right. But none of these characters are given any time, because when you have 16 major characters who the show needs you to learn to like, you just create this situation where everyone is just climbing on top of each other for screen time. Madoka Magica, and I'm sorry that I keep referencing it, but it's really the best one in this situation, had 5 magical girls in it, and it had trouble keeping them all together. Can you imagine how impossible it is to keep 16 together? Some of them come in and out with no real sense of pattern to it. I forget who half of them are half at the time. And not only that, the show tries really hard to make you care when they die. You get their backstory. You get the sub story. You get the, oh, I'm homeless. Oh, we were so popular. Oh, I'm alone. All of this stuff over and over again. And again, none of it is effective because we don't like anyone as a person. What I mean by that is, with no time to get to know anyone, there's no reason to like them. It's like when you see those ASPCA commercials. The first couple times you see them, you do feel sad for those animals, but when it's over and over again and it has nothing to do with your actual life, it just gets annoying. That's what happens here. 1 or 2 backstories is fine, but when everyone's got to get a backstory, without really any context to why should I care? Why should I care that one of them, for whatever reason, has to live for another 6 months? It's obvious, but why does it matter to me? Why does it matter that one of them is all nervous and jumpy? Why does it matter that one of them is actually a boy? Yeah, one of them's actually a boy. It's not as weird as you think. But this is really the problem with this show, is it just really can't figure out what it wants to do or wants to be. So it just throws everything in a blender, throws it against the wall, and that is what we're left with. There is no actual story structure. There's no pacing. It's just random scene after random scene after random scene for 13 episodes till it stops. Still, I kind of liked it. Okay, I know this is a big jump for this review, but hear me out. So, what gets this show interesting is sort of the dynamic of everything. One thing that starts up fairly early is this Lord of the Flies element to it. Like, whereas it stops being about necessarily that everyone's dying, and how does everyone react to everyone dying? Because all of these girls are supposed to be, I mean, they're not because of the backstories. They're supposed to be just average, everyday people, and now they find out, I gotta murder the person next to me to survive. And the show actually does take time to deal with that. Okay, it puts a lot of different ideas on the table at once, but they're all kind of really interesting. And I like seeing that. You do see how all these different personalities clash, and our main character, yeah, she's bland as hell, but it is still kind of interesting to watch the concept of someone who is so pure and sticks to her beliefs that it pushes her through the entire story and never wavers. That is kind of interesting. It results in she doesn't have much to do, but it does lead to some very interesting dialogue scenes, it leads to some very interesting ideas to think about. Like, there's a lot of interesting ideas in this show. Another thing I love is the character designs. The animation itself is just sort of standard, kind of okay, but I love the magical girl designs in this. Because it's a mobile game, they pick their own avatars and their own powers and all that stuff up to their personalities. So you get some really interesting designs that come up with really neat ways to relate to everyone. I literally would have episodes where I would just want to stop the episode and just think about, well, what made them want to put this in their character or that? And they do get creative with it. Many magical girl shows, the girls look pretty similar and they got similar power sets, just like one finishing move that's different. But no, here everyone is vastly different and has vastly unique powers, and when there is fights in this, they take a lot of time to show you everything and use a lot of the applications practically. I love the action in this show. Fights in this are made to feel very dirty, very uncomfortable, very unnatural. I love it when action like that can be handled. And I like the element that is wondering, what would it be like to have these powers? But not in a sense of, well, how do I affect the world? How do I just keep myself living? And there is an air of sort of intensity to it. So what I'm saying is, the reason I couldn't put this on a list is because from a technical standpoint, it's awful. It's a complete mess, and it doesn't have any idea what it's doing or wants to do. But from an emotional perspective, I really got into this. I really felt invested. I wanted to come back every week. And yeah, I had to trudge through all these backstories and all these moments of downtime I didn't care about, but I still came back. and I wasn't doing it begrudgingly. I wanted to come back every week. I was emotionally invested in a mess, and that doesn't happen every day. Especially now where we have so many good anime this season, the fact that this can still stick out for me as something like this, I think is really amazing. And you know what? If I was asked, gun to my head, gun to my balls, would I want someone to watch this or Madoka Magica? I'm gonna say this. Madoka Magica might be a smarter show. It might have better writing and better characters and a better story. But A, it loses me in the last third. And also B, yeah, this is a mess, but this show stays an interesting mess. Like, I'd rather have an exciting mess that keeps me at the edge of my seat than a boring think piece. And that's kind of where I stand right now. Do I know if I really like this or not? Not really, but you know what? I want to see what other people think. In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on Magical Girl Raising Project. Do you like this genre? Because I kind of don't. And as always, click to like and click to subscribe so we can see what else there is to talk about in the world of anime.